It is a pleasure to come up here and share again. I do think I'm organized. I take pride in being organized, but I'm glad to hear that there's actually Mitzi and Rosina even more organized than me. That's why I'm on their team. How many of you feel like as parents that we need to feel like we've got to be great role models as organizers for our children? That we should have all the answers, right? Yeah? And a lot of times as parents, we feel like we've got to teach them how to organize themselves. And as Sherilyn was saying, it can be a real chore. So my message here today is actually a little bit different. I'm actually saying that perhaps mums and dads don't always know the best. Mums and dads may not always have the answers. And perhaps mums and dads could learn a little bit by observing their team. Because I coach and train in the leadership space, and more we're looking at the fact that leaders lead clever people. Agreed? And a lot of people get promoted to leadership roles without having any training. They kind of got promoted because they were good at their jobs, and suddenly they have to people manage. Parents are a bit like that. You suddenly have a child, and you're expected to know how to parent. You expect to have great organizational skills. And in fact, you need to teach them. So one of the key things that I'm quite comfortable in telling leaders that please be vulnerable. Please be able to be open and let them know if you need, you need their help. So I'm going to share with you a story about the fact that I thought I was a pretty great organizer with exams. Now, how many of you get a bit worried when your kids are having exams? I mean, I don't know about you, but from the Asian culture, exams is a big thing, okay? If you don't get a straight A, I mean, B as in Glee, I think B is an Asian F. So, you gotta get an A. So, when I was going through dental school, that's where I met my husband, Ken. Now, I take pride in preparing for exams in a very organized way. I set out a study plan. So if it's 8 weeks to go to an exam, I would have my study plan done for 7 weeks because just in case unforeseen happenings happen, I've got a week to catch up. I mean, come on, Shirley, right? We got to get organized, right, Mitzi? So anyway, I get my study plan, and I know exactly how many pages to swat, and by the time I get to my 7th week, I've got a week to spare. And because I'm so organized, the awful thing is that when I have that week spare, I've got a week to stress. Because it's too hard. It's not part of the plan to go back and study the 7 weeks. So I've got a week of nervousness. So I might be very prepared for my exams, but I'm highly strung on that last week. On the other hand, I've got my husband, who is basically a crammer. How many of you are crammers before exams? No show of hands. And how many of you are planners, just out of interest to see who are anally retentive like me? Okay, now there's my husband who's a crammer. And what he does is that he plays volleyball, he does everything until about a week before the exams, and he thinks, oh my God, what do I need to do? So he studies night to noon, does summary sheets. How many of you do mind maps of summary sheets, right? Okay, because just in case you haven't covered everything just before the exam, but when you're in the car, parking your car, you whip out your notes and cram until, goodness, it's 1:45, I better get to the exam hall, right? So that's Ken, okay? That's how he prepares for exams. So we as the story goes, fast forward to now, we both graduated dental school with flying colors. He's an amazing dentist. I actually quit, so I don't know why I did that anyway, but it was a great lesson in actually discipline. So, okay, so the two of us graduated. So we must have been effective in our exam prep. Would you agree? And we'd probably be great at teaching it. Along comes my son, Jet. He's almost 14, but about last year in January, our school year starts in January. I know your school year starts in September. And he had just arrived in year 7, which to us is our first year of secondary or high school. And 5 years from then, he's going to do his year 12 exams, which is the higher school certificate, which is equivalent of the IB, or perhaps in your system, the SATs, I suppose. Okay, so, and remember, all Asian kids have to get straight A's, right? Okay, So one of the key things is, so in the school's aware of that. It's not a selective school. It's a school that brings up kids of all ages, but they're very much about being resourceful. So just at the beginning of the year, they called for a workshop for the mums and dads and the kids to come for a 2-hour workshop on study skills and exam preparation. I thought, yes, let me go listen and validate myself. Okay, so off I go to this, because my husband says, oh, well, I haven't got time. So anyway, so I go. Besides, he's not a planner, remember? He's a crammer. So I trot off with Jet, and we sit down for these workshops. And while I was in the workshop, I was scribbling and taking lots of notes, and I was really excited because it was exactly validating what I was doing. Prepare a plan, work the plan, make sure you've got your folders, your colored folders. Get set up so that, you get into habit, and by the time year 12 comes around, you'll be great. So, and their first exams is going to happen in 6 months. So they're going to start doing mid-year exams. Every half a year, they're going to get some exams. Okay, so I got out of the workshop, all excited, as all mothers would be, who I feel so good, and looked at Jet. And this is Jet. Mom, please don't even think about organizing me. I told you he reads me like a book. And you should have seen my poor little face drop. But I have said that I would let them express themselves, right? So I said, really? And he said, yes, Mom, can you please trust that I have taken, I know I'll trust you, Jet, but you have not taken a single note from that workshop. He said, Mom, it's all in here, I got it, I will work it through. Can you please trust that I will prepare for my exams, and you need to trust me. So if I need some help, I will ask, is that fair? I think that's pretty fair. Okay, so I said, great. Okay, I thought, all right, I've brought them out to be independent. I am trying to learn from them. I hope I learned something positive from this. So along the year rolls on, I did sort of hope that he'll talk to me about it. Nothing happens. April comes around and May comes around. I think mid-year, is that in May or June? So I checked with him. I said, mid-year exam's coming up. Can you tell me when it is? He said, yes, it's in May, Mom. I've got my timetables. I've got my schedule. I'm okay. Don't fret, okay? So then I didn't check further. I was still a little bit apprehensive, but I trusted Jet would do the right thing. Coming to dinner time, a sacred time, we were sitting down to dinner on Sunday evening, and Ken was just putting down the knife and fork. We were just about to clean up because it's Jet and my turn to put the dishes away. We do have a roster. And Ken looks up and said to Jet, your mum and I have been speaking. I believe your mid-year exams are coming up. So can you tell me perhaps a little bit about it? When is the exam, for starters? So Jet looks up and he said, Dad, it's tomorrow. Now Ken, by that time, kind of rewind the weekend. Saturday, we were playing basketball in the morning. Saturday afternoon, we played rugby. Then Sunday morning, we went to JB Hi-Fi to pick up some Xbox games. Sunday afternoon, we were playing Xbox games. Hello, Jet. You mean the exam is tomorrow? Now, remembering Ken is a crammer, okay? This is totally out of his paradigm. Exams tomorrow, and I have not seen a single book out. Okay, Jet, where are your books? In school, Dad. In school? Can we go to the locker and get it right now? It's locked, Dad. Okay, all right. Have you got your summary sheets then? Show me your summary sheets. Didn't do them, Dad. Now, if you can see a volcano erupting, okay, and steam coming out of his ears and a thundercloud of a face, that was Ken. Now, he then rattled on what a good Asian dad should, and he said, well, if you're not going to score straight A's, You are being taken out of your school. I'm not paying school fees. You're going to go where I don't care where, but you don't show me this A averages and you're out of there. And he stormed out because Ken is by this time ballistic. Now, in the corner, as I was tidying up the plates, you imagine what I was feeling. I was thinking, oh my God. I thought my son said, trust me. And I'm not sure whether this is a good thing. So as we were putting the plates in the dishwasher, I looked at Jet and I said, Jet, I am a bit disappointed to say the least. I trusted you to study, and you're telling me that you didn't. Is that right? Of which Jet then looked at me and said, Mum, I did not study the way Dad does. And I did not plan the way you did. But I did study. So what did you do? I didn't see any plan, and you didn't do the cram, so I am a bit confused. So he just smiled and he said, Mum, I've been preparing in school. I've been quite efficient. I've worked through some exam papers with my teachers. I understand my work, and my teacher said that as long as you've done all the work and gone through the papers, you just need to relax before the exam. I'm just following what the teacher's saying, and I'm pretty cool about it. What do you say to that? So I said, you know what, son, I trust you, and you better get straight A's. Or else I think we're both out of the house. Anyway, cut a long story short, the exam came and went. The results came 4 weeks later, and Jet scored 92.5%, which is an A average. And to our relief, and Ken and I just sat down with him that sacred dinner time, when he announced his results, proudly, I should say, that he did not get an Asian F, and that we both, Ken and I, learned something about perhaps sometimes stepping back, setting an outcome to inspire someone towards a vision, and getting out of the way. Because we both learned that both our methods were highly stressed ways of exam preparations, but Jet cruised through in his own way, reasonably stress-free. So we learned something that day. And I think key thing here is parents are leaders, and leaders are parents. And we do need to inspire our children, not just by sharing or getting clear on a vision, and then getting out of the way and letting them explore. And if they want your help, they will ask. If they need a coach, we can ask them questions, but we don't need to give them answers. Because if we give them answers, then we've limited their learning. And guess what? We've limited our learning. So partner with your children. And like Shirin was saying, let's strategize with parents. I work with parents, and this is by accident that I'm doing parent coaching, because working in the business field, in leadership, I work with leaders that usually hire me to get business results in dollars and cents. But within 2 or 3 sessions of coaching, they usually start talking to me about their third marriage that failed and the teenage daughter that's not talking to them. And I think I've accidentally fallen into parent coaching using leadership models. And I dare say with pride that I say to them, I may not have a PhD in child psychology. I'm just a dentist, for goodness sake. And instead of putting a smile on your face on the outside, I've hopefully put a smile on your face on the inside by the work that I do. And my lessons on leadership has not come from an MBA program, although I do use leadership models. But my greatest leadership lessons have come from my home tribe. So partner from your children, inspire them to great heights, and step out of the way, because you too might learn something.